to Live podcast, where I speak with those who are living their lives by their own accord and are loving it. In this episode, I speak with Ben Burton, a 25-year-old serial entrepreneur working out of Coffs Harbour. Ben has been involved in a number of business ventures since he was 18, and he really seems like the kind of guy that would have still been an entrepreneur 20, 50 or 100 years ago. The thing I like most about Ben's story is that it started from humble beginnings, and it's very relatable in the way that he tried a number of different things that eventually led him to being the founder of his mobile app Zeppee, which is basically a Tinder for pets. So if you're interested in adopting a pet, make sure to check out the app Zeppee, Zeppee. Ben skips no detail in describing all the different factors that led him to where he is today, from fitting out a VW Kombi to make a mobile coffee van, to having bought and sold over 100 cars, to finding investment in the network that he had built, and to hiring a terrible app development company in Pakistan over Upwork.com. Let's get into it. So I think the best way to do this with you would probably be like chronologically, because you've done like a number of things. Like when I first met you, you were like you were doing your rustic bean espresso coffee.
Yeah, coffee van.
Yeah, do you want to tell us about that and how you fell into that?
Yeah, so basically when I finished school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and university never appealed to me. So I basically went into hospitality. I loved working with people, and anyway, I started working under a girl who's now my brother's wife, and she was a barista, and she ended up being ranked sixth in the world as a barista, and had competed at an international level and won the Australian latte art competitions and things like that. So really nice coffee maker. And anyway, so long story short, I worked under her for about a year, and she trained me up to a really good level. And then I decided that I kind of wanted to go out on my own. And basically I had this Beetle at the time that I'd spent a whole heap of time and money on, and I loved it. And I decided to sell the Beetle and buy a Kombi and fit it out with a coffee machine and turn it into a coffee van. So down I went, took a trailer down. I sold the car in my Volkswagen Beetle down to Sydney, and then turned around, picked up a Kombi out of a paddock down there.
Yep.
And drove the whole way home. And then there was a long drive home with it on a car trail. And then over the next 7 months, I was working at a cafe to provide the money, and basically fitted it out and made like a custom fit out and changed the engine, got it on the road, and then launched it at exactly the same time that the big highway bypass through Coffs Harbour came. Which was amazing, because it meant that, we'd get up at 4 a.m, drive down to the bypass down at Urunga, and we would go and sell coffee to the workers before they went out on the road, and then we'd come in, and it was so good. And then we'd come in and go to Centrelink. That'd be stop number 2.
Yep.
Because everybody knows about the notorious Centrelink line. So what better place to be selling coffee to people than when they're waiting in line. So we met some absolute characters there. It was amazing. So did that for about a year and a half. And the business, it made great money at events. It was a really, really low overheads. Your overheads are cups, milk, coffee beans, obviously, and fuel.
Yeah.
And so you haven't got the cafe expenses of a building and rent and staff and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it was a great little business. And after about a year and a half, I decided that, I don't know, I get bored very easily. So we decided to sell the van. I sold the van, and that's just when Volkswagens went through the roof, and made a fortune off the van.
Yeah.
And then
how much money had you put into the van to like get it in a running condition?
So I bought it for 6. I spent probably 2.5 on it, because I did everything myself.
Yeah.
So like I bought an engine for $1,000 off a friend, and then we fixed it all up, and then did the engine swap on the driveway. I did everything myself, but lots of research and making sure we could do it all. And then so I think all up it owed about maybe 14.
Okay.
All up. It restored with a full fit out, ready to go.
Yeah.
Then I ended up selling the van, and I doubled the money on that. So I sold it for 12. And then we sold the fit out for, I can't remember, 4 or 5 grand into another Kombi that's actually still driving around Coffs now.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And that was really cool. Then after that, I basically went back and started working at cafes again.
Mm-hmm.
That was I was doing that for maybe 2 or 3 months. And then the rise of the the Cafe Racer motorcycle scene came up and, appeared out of nowhere, Deus Ex Machina and all the brat bikes and all this massive scene. And I decided that I wanted to get into that.
Yep.
And I'd already built a motorbike. And that had been really good, and lots of people had commented on it and loved it. And from that, like, I had lots of people inquiring, "Can you build me one? Can you build me one?" I was like, "Oh, maybe." So I met up with a friend of mine who was a boilermaker, and we're like, "Yeah, we can do something with this." And so we got a couple of t-shirts made, and we made a little brand, and we started to build bikes. And I don't know, by the end of that, within 6 months, we were building about a bike a month.
Oh, wow.
As well as I was working at cafes, and he was still doing that. And they were being dropped down from Byron and sent up from Sydney, and it was lots of fun. That was a really great little random business that just happened. And then after that, I decided to move to Byron Bay, and he obviously had his life set up here, so he stayed in Coffs.
Yeah.
So then, well, that leads into business number 3.
Yeah. Well, what was the move to Byron Bay? Like, why were you drawn to there?
Well, the girl I was dating at the time was pretty over Coffs Harbour. We'd both grown up here.
Yeah.
And she was really drawn to Byron. She loved the culture of it. Everyone loves Byron for that reason.
Yeah.
And, her appeal to it. And I wasn't the biggest fan of Byron, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's not the worst place in the world to live. No. So we basically packed up and sold everything. We had 11 motorbikes at the time. Sold all of those and we packed up and moved up to Byron. And it was a good move. I learnt a lot up there, living up there. As soon as I went there, I think I was 23, and as soon as I got there, I started to I was working in hospitality, and then I went for a job in real estate.
Yeah. And
that was good. The real estate job was like, it was a good job. It was on a base salary with commission. It was a 9 to 5. It was all very, very sensible.
Yeah.
And in that interview, I decided that I didn't want to do that. I realized that I didn't even like houses, that I wanted to sell cars, because I'm absolutely passionate about cars.
Yeah.
I've just recently sold my 104th car.
Goodness.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So, yeah. Since I got my license when I was 16, when I got my L's. So, yeah, that was a kind of a bit of I was changing cars, had 3 or 4 cars at a time, and just changing them all the time, and just trying to get to the ones that I really wanted. And, so I just recently sold that 2 days ago.
What's been some of your favorite cars that you've ever had?
I had this gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous 1977 Porsche.
Whoa.
And it was like yellow. It was about as obnoxious as you can get.
What
it was
model
all
of
original.
Porsche?
It was a 944.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool.
And I got it off the second owner. It had 33,000 original kilometers on it.
Wow.
And it had like a Jerry Seinfeld car phone in it.
Oh, that's insane.
And yeah, it was amazing. Anyway, I loved that car. And then I ended up selling it. I've been trying to get onto whoever bought it still to try and buy it back, because it was one of those stupid things that you shouldn't sell it. But I was like, I'm on a roll. I want to keep getting more cars. I want to have more cars. And so anyway, I came up with an idea where I could sell prestige cars for private rich people. So like online real estate listings for cars.
Yeah, because I guess at the time, like Byron Bay, they was starting to like get a bit of money in that area. Like there was a lot of celebrities and people there.
Lots of money there. Also, I was more looking at worldwide, like Australia wide, because I bought so many cars. I knew the ins and outs of every car classified site, and one recurring theme was there was a lot of like kind of European luxury stuff, and people were obviously successful and too busy to sell them. So I put 2 and 2 together and thought, you know what, I can list the cars for them, handle the whole sale, and that would be amazing. So I believe that I contacted you to make the website for it back in the day. And Andrew, then you made a great website, and when that was ready, I literally just jumped on a car sales and started making phone calls. And
awesome.
That was great. It was how it would work was I'd get paid a marketing fee up front, and back then it was $249. and basically they would pay me that to write the ads and to handle all the phone calls. And basically I would say to them that if I can sell the car for the exact money that you want and do everything that I've said on the phone call, because I realize I'm cold calling you, you, when you have the money in your hand, can decide then how much my service is worth to you. And it was a very risky way of doing it, because it meant that I was going to, bust my ass trying to sell these cars.
Yeah.
And there's a potential where these people could 100% just get the exact money and say, thanks very much. It was obligation free.
Yeah.
And it was basically working off their generosity to honour that. So anyway, it was really good. Lots of people were really, really generous with their money. I mean, you're also talking about putting $200,000 into someone's hands and they haven't had to lift a finger.
Yeah.
Which was incredible. But on the flip side of it, sometimes you would, again, work, get the person the exact money and then never hear from again. Yeah. And that was just the sad reality of it. I mean, I had a guy with 2 Ferraris that I sold both of them for him for the exact dollar, and never heard back from him. I actually sent him an email a couple of days later. I said, hey, mate, you are aware this is the thing. I'm sorry if I miscommunicated, but this is basically how I live. After like that, from that marketing fee is not that much. And, this is kind of the bread and butter of the business, and never heard back from him. So I was like, you know what? That's it at the end of the day. But it was a really great business. I learnt a lot about, obviously, dealing with the upper echelons of society.
Yeah.
And that was a really great experience, because you're also dealing with the movers and shakers in Australia, like the people that can afford to drive $500,000 cars. And, you meet all these incredible people from all different walks of life who've got a great story. And some of them are, it's entrepreneurship. Some of them are corporate, big wigs. But as soon as they realize that you're 23 years old and that you're giving it a red hot go, you learn some incredible stuff from them. All they want to do is help you. They're like, great, we've got a young guy call us and tell us he can do a better job. Let's give it a go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah, I did that. It was good enough to be able to provide me with living and renting in Byron Bay. I was eating out every single day, gym, and my only downfall, which was my fault, was it was a business that was very easy to get a bit complacent with.
Yeah. Because
the money was so good. As in you could have, 4 or 5 people on a Monday say yes, and they'll all pay you that marketing fee, and then you get a tip on Tuesday, and you go, why would I work 3 more days this week?
Yeah.
So that was something that was my own discipline, and I learnt that over time. And in the middle of all of this, the car business, about, what was that? May last year, I had an idea for an app, and that's business number 4.
Yeah.
And business number 4 is we'll get to it, but it is an app. And basically my business partner and investor are both people that I sold cars for. And that was one of those really bizarre tales where, I had never met either of them before the car business, and they were 2 people that I cold called, and now we're working all full time together.
Yeah, wow.
And they're both based in Sydney, and they both have obviously never met each other. And it was one of these really weird, I wouldn't even say it was a coincidence. It was as if it was all just like, one of these meant to be things. It was just amazing. So basically, to back up a little bit, Pierre, who is my business partner now, he's a lawyer from Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a very cynical customer when I first called him. He had a beautiful Mercedes CLA 45. It was gorgeous.
Oh, lovely.
And I called him up and I said, I can do a better job than you. And he said, right. Anyway, after a few more phone calls, he eventually said, yeah, right, look, we'll give it a go. So he sent me through all these great photos of the car. Basically, about 3 weeks into it, I got a call from his wife, and his wife says, hey, look, Pierre's, you've been speaking to my husband about the CLA. She's like, oh, look, you just happened to give him a call. So I did. And he says, oh, look, I like your business structure. I like what you're doing. He's like, do you want to fly to Sydney and have a meeting with me? I want to talk to you about something. I'm like, great. So I flew down to Sydney. Pierre and a few other guys were working on some stuff in the automotive industry. and basically they wanted to merge what I was doing with what they were doing, and it was really great. Like, it was a great meeting. We got along like a house on fire, and then we went from there, and I flew home back to Byron Bay, and we had a couple of weeks where we were still talking a lot, but eventually, like, nothing really became of it.
Yeah.
So fast forward, maybe 2 months after that, and I'm walking home. I went out to dinner with one of my friends from Coffs. He came up to Byron and he visited me, and we went out for dinner just at the pub just down the road from where I lived in Suffolk Park. And we were walking home from the pub, and there was this poster for a black Labrador, and it was lost. And I had this light bulb idea where it just hit me, and it was literally like one of those profound moments. And I was like, "How good would Pet Tinder be?" I said to my friend, and he says, "Pet Tinder." I'm like, "Yeah, how good would it be? Like, there's no central place to find all the adopted animals, like there is car sales, Gumtree, eBay. There's not one app for it."
Yep.
Anyway, we were laughing, carrying on like idiots, meeting dogs and all the other things that come with it, and having a great laugh. And I remember I walked into the house, and my girlfriend at the time and a few of her friends were sitting on the back table. I'm like, I've got it. I know how we're gonna, like, the next idea. She says, "What is it?" And I said, "Tinder for pets." And they all laughed about it. And I'm like, think about it. It's got legs. Like, it's a good idea. It has legs. So then I went to Coffs that weekend. Anyway, I woke up in the morning. I was still thinking about it, which is a good sign, because normally your senses are a little bit dulled after having dinner at the pub. And when I woke up in the morning, still thinking about it, I was like, this actually has legs. So I went back to Coffs and I had dinner with my dad, and we were chatting about it. And Mum was away, so we were both batching. So we thought, let's go and we'll go for dinner. And I said, "Dad, I've got to talk to you about this idea." And I said, "I don't think it's as stupid as it sounds." And Dad said, "Look, I think it's a great idea." He said, "It's a really good industry. I think it's a good idea." He said, and I said, "Look, I want to do it with Pierre." Dad knew who Pierre was because he knew about it. And Dad said, "Right, we'll give him a call." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." All right, I'll give him a call. So anyway, I pushed out that night. Next day, on a Sunday, I pushed out again. Come Sunday night, I was like, "Oh, screw it, I'm just going to do it." So I sent Pierre a text beforehand. I said, "Mate, I got a business proposition I want to talk to you about." He says, "Righto." So I called him, and he's in the car with his wife, Danielle. I said, "Look, I got an idea, and it's got potential to be a really massive thing. It's for an app." Pierre's like, "Right, tell me." And I said, "Tinder for pets." And he just goes, "Right." And I said, "Imagine a location-based app displaying all the adoptable pets in Australia, where the user can download it and swipe through it like Tinder. We'll humanize adoptable pets and give them dating platforms." And he's just like, "Yeah, I love it." He goes, "Let's do it."
Yeah.
So we agreed. Yeah, 100 straight up. He goes, "Let's do it. We'll go 50-50 and everything. We'll be 50-50 partners." He's like, "Let's do it." And I said, "Done." So we went for it. And his biggest thing is he's a lawyer. He's super savvy, but he's also done a lot of stuff with tech. So he knew the steps about getting an app from an idea to the App Store. And there's 1,000 more steps than you would ever think.
Yeah, okay.
So all of a sudden I'm like, all right, sweet. So what do we do? Do we get developers? Like, I don't know what to do. And so we had to do a thing called wireframing first. And for those of you who don't know what wireframing is, it's basically a series of blueprints that you make for every single screen in an app. So if you think about your home screen, that's one wireframe. Then you go home screen, sidebar menu. That's 2. Then sidebar menu settings, 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So every single screen in the app has to be designed, because that's what you present the developers with, and they'll only build what you send them. So that took months. We had to think about what we wanted, how it functions, everything. We're not even talking design here, just the functionality of the app, the flow of it. And that took months and months and months. And
who was doing that? Did you have a designer do that for you?
Yes, we had a designer, Pierre and I. And because Pierre's obviously in law, he has a full-time job, and I was also still doing the car business. So it was pretty much like from 2 o'clock every afternoon through till 11, 12 at night. Oh, sorry. We would be doing wireframes.
Yeah. Was it a hard decision, like, because it's 50-50? Did you feel like you were giving up a lot of your app and a lot of the control, or were you okay with that?
I was super fine with it because I know that he would be able to bring everything to the table. That it wasn't even a question. I was just like, yep, sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
I knew that he would be able to definitely bring everything to the table that I didn't, and that was including something so simple as knowing how to get it from an idea to actually being a viable like a viable thing in the App Store. And because I know that I would have sat on it for a little while, and then I could have learnt, well, like what I've done with every other business, I could have learnt how to do it, but apps are in a really competitive market.
Yeah.
Pets were trending. It was like, this is a good idea. Let's get it done. And I mean, 50% of something is always better than 100% of nothing.
Exactly.
So basically that was what I put forward. He didn't come forward with that.
Yeah.
I said, let's go halves in it. Anyway, wireframing is done. And then we get ready for, we basically did out a chart about how much money we'd need. We wanted to raise an investment to build it. And we wanted to bring a silent investor on board, so we could build it properly. And that's when the next part of it happened, which was just hilarious. Anyway, we put out this, put out a bit of a blurb into some of their business channels about seeking investment for an iOS thing. We have to also remember that app investments are a bit of a hot topic at the moment. Yeah. So people want to get on board because they know that if you do it right, it can be a fantastic investment.
Yeah, I know in the software, like software as a service especially, there's developers that'll put their own money forward into a great idea if it's good enough and if you can sell it right.
Yeah, or even just do sweat equity where they work for nothing and you give them a stake in your company, which is, it's testament to, like, if it's got legs, they'll do it.
Yeah.
And so we had this, so we got to this investment bit, and anyway, we line up two people that we didn't know, two investors who were interested. They're like, we didn't say what it was for. We just said it was for an app. NDAs would need to be signed, and we'll meet with you. So one was actually in Lismore, and he was a property developer, and the other one was in Sydney. So I was going to do the Lismore one by myself because Byron's just around the corner, and then in the morning, and then that night I'd fly to Sydney and we'd do the Sydney one. So the morning of, obviously, I'm 20. How old was I? 24 at this stage, and I'm pretty nervous. I'm about to meet with an older guy who's a property developer. I mean, like, they know what they're doing, and obviously someone who's successful enough to be able to go, yes, I can invest into some random startup. So the morning of, he calls me and he says, look, I'm really sorry. I'm a developer. There's been a massive storm in Lismore, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to cancel because some of my properties got damaged. Like, yeah, that's fair. Like, yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So he cancels. So now we've lost 50% of our potential money. Like, we had a 1 from 2 chance, and now it's a one-shot kill. So I was kind of disappointed. I wasn't like dying, but I was pretty disappointed. I'm like, all right, so let's get creative here. I'm sure that we can figure something out. I'm not going to waste this trip to Sydney because if he says no, then that's been like, I want it to be worth it. Basically what happens is I called up Nick, and Nick is a funny guy, and he had a Ferrari, and this isn't the 2 Ferrari guy. This is another Ferrari.
Another Ferrari dude.
Another Ferrari guy. And Nick had this gorgeous red Ferrari F430.
Oh.
And yeah, absolutely, like, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
When I called him, is this guy who's, self-made, incredibly successful. And he says, called him up. I say, blah, 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 I can do a better job than you. And he, in all of his, you were also talking about self-made here. So they've got a self-made, like, assurance. They're like, I've done this by myself. I can sell my own car, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, all right. Anyway, but to his testament, he really liked my attitude. He really liked that I was somewhat arrogant in it. And I'm like, yeah, I can do a better job. Why can you do a better job with me? And I'm like, well, because I do this every day of the week. You do it once every maybe a year if you're lucky. So long story short, we list the car, and he wants 210 grand for it, which was high for an F430. It was a 2006 model, so it was high. It was right at the top of the used car prices. And I said, yeah, I can do that. 100% just guaranteed I can do it. And I can do it in under 3 months. So I said, if I can't do it in 3 months, I'll give you all your money back. And he says, good. That's great. That's worry free. I'm either going to get money or I'm going to get my money back. So come to seriously, 2 months and 2 weeks, 2 weeks out. And I line up a buyer for the car for the exact money that he wants.
Oh, lovely.
210 grand on the nose. A doctor from Melbourne. And this doctor literally calls up, says, blah, 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 tell me all about it. We said, do you want to do an inspection? He goes, nope, I'll do a bank statement. And yeah, I'll do a bank, whatever it's called, bank check.
Yep.
And I'll be on the next flight. And I'm like, this is too good to be true.
Goodness.
This is amazing. Bang, flies to Sydney, bank check, drives the car home. Nick calls me up and he's like, oh, great. Yeah, good job. Good job. Like, not too much praise. Good job. And then a couple of days he calls me back. He says, oh, look, I got to tell you something. And I'm like, what? And he says, I got to tell you how much I paid for that car. I'm like, please don't tell me. And he says, look, I paid 178 grand for it 3 years ago.
What?
3 years ago with 30,000 Ks less.
Goodness.
I'm like, are you kidding me? And he's like, yeah, I just wanted to see if you could do it. I'm like, oh. Semi, you're a bastard, but that was awesome. So obviously we had a great relationship from that.
Yeah.
But we always kept in contact. So he always would call me up and he'd say, you know, how's it all coming along? How's business? Which cars are selling? Which ones aren't? Like, sorry, I'm just having a sip of coffee.
No, you're right.
Yeah, so he's like, which ones are doing well, which ones aren't selling, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, it was great. We always just chatted. And he was always saying, you know, like what's good, what's not. And it was really good. And he also wanted to tell me a lot about, obviously, his journey from starting at 23 in the automotive industry to building up to where he is now. And that was incredible. So come like present, and we've lost an investor. And we're going, damn it, what are we going to do? And I called up Nick, and in all of my 23-year-old professionalism, I said, how are you, mate? It's Ben. Yeah, I'm good. Good. What's been happening? I said, oh, look, do you invest in stuff? And he's like, what do you mean stuff? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Do you invest in things? And he's like, yeah, I invest in property. I invest in stocks, very traditional investing. I said, would you ever invest in an app? And he said, what's the app? I said, I can't tell you. He's just like, well, I said, look, anyway, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's an untapped market. I'll be in Sydney. Can we go out for lunch? We've never met.
I'm sure you sold it the way you sold that doctor that Ferrari.
Yeah. And I'm just like, look, we haven't even met at this point. I'm like, mate, look, can we, can I take you out to lunch in Sydney? Can Pierre and I? And he says, I'd be mad not to. He said, just because I want to know. He says, we'll be mad. So anyway, him and his wife meet there at this restaurant. I mean, for 3.5 hours. And for 3 hours, we talk about everything. Pierre's Italian. His wife's Italian. They're talking in Italian about Italy. Nick and I are talking about cars. I'm kicking Pierre under the table going, what the hell are you doing? Let's start to talk about why we're here. And then he would go into another topic about Italy and about the Pope and about the history of Italy. And seriously, by the end of it, I was like a professional in Europe.
Yeah.
And then half an hour from the end of our lunch. So 3.5 hours. We've been there for ages. We've had meals, had coffee, had a beer. It was wonderful. But we also hadn't talked at all about why we were all there. It was like the elephant in the room.
Were you after like a considerable sum of money for the investment?
Yeah, 150,000.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, it wasn't, you know, to someone extremely wealthy, that's not that much, but it's still a lot of money for an idea.
It is.
So, then finally we bridged the topic. Nick goes, righto, we all know why we're here. Yep, all right, let's do it. So we said, look, this is what we want to build. Here's the wireframes. Here's the size of the industry. Nick's like, that's interesting. He has 2 rescue dogs. And then he's like, do you have any more meetings? I said, yeah, we've got one tonight. And he said, how would you feel about not going? Oh, okay. All right. He says, just just don't go to it. And he said, I'll get back to you before tonight. All right. So we cancelled the meeting. No, we didn't even cancel it. Actually, it was hilarious. We still went to it. But Pierre had some other business idea that was just didn't even, it wasn't even a thing. And he's like, look, let's just go pitch this to him, see what he does. So we're going to have dinner with this dude. Pierre tells him all this business ideas. And then we're like, the guy's like, look, I don't know. I'll talk to some people about it. And we're like, okay, see ya.
Oh, that's funny.
We had a great dinner anyway. It was super nice. Cool guy. But after that, Nick gave us a call and he said, look, I need to, I need to be willing to lose 150 grand. And he's like, I really think that you guys have got this. I think that you guys can get it done. And, we're willing to give it a go. So just like that, we're like, all right, great. Let's do it. So, this is going to need a sip of coffee this bit because it's a very touchy part of it.
Yes.
But, so then we go and see a Australian app company. I'm not going to name drop.
That's fine.
But we went and saw them. Anyway, we had this hour and a half long phone conversation where they actually get you to sign NDAs and vice versa. And then you have this conference call and they're like, that's a great idea. Amazing idea. And then they call you back a couple of days later and they say you should come to our office and we'll do a 2-day sit down with all our developers and all the team that we need. And and we'll put it all together. And we'll let you, and we'll put it all up on a wall and we'll make a big vision board above. It's this incredible thing. And the only thing is it's going to cost you $7,700. Now we're all pretty naive in the app world right now. So we're like, hell yeah, we'll do that. That's a great. So we go down there. We end up in an office room with a 14-year-old who's, I don't know, he wasn't really 14. He was probably like 25, but
yeah.
And some sticky notes on a wall.
Okay.
And we're going, yep, wow, okay. And they said that they could build an iOS app and an Android app and a web-based platform within 150 grand. Quote, we would be really shocked if we couldn't do it for that amount of money. It may be just over, but we'd be really shocked. So we're like, okay, this is all good. This is fine.
Where did you get that quote from, or is that the amount that you said you had to spend?
So yeah, we basically said, look, this is what we've got.
Okay.
So we go down. We spend 2 days with them. They say, great, we'll go away and we'll quote it all for you. But again, we'll be really shocked if we couldn't get it in under that. So obviously we're at home, bated breath. We're like, this is going to happen. They've told us it's going to be like, it'll take them 7 weeks to build it. This is incredible. We're going to be launched. This is in what? October 2015. So we're like, this is unbelievable. We're going to be like launched before Christmas. We're going to have people buying dogs. Everything's going to be incredible. Get the quote back. $464,000.
Goodness.
And we're like, what the hell? Like, that's not even, like, that's triple. Called them up. Like,
what was the bulk of their quote coming from? Or why was the figure so much higher?
Well, they came back and they said, look, it's a really big app. And we're like, well, we are not we're not the people to invent the Tinder UI. Like, everything we're doing hasn't been done before. Like, it's been done before. It's literally like there'd be plug and play solutions out there where you could buy white labeled Tinder formats and you guys could modify that code. Anyway, so we're like, all right, just give us a quote for iPhone only with 20% of the features that we actually want. 164,500.
Goodness.
And we're like, And so at this point, I'm like, we're done. It's over. Like, that's it.
How long had you been working on it at this point?
May to October.
Okay.
Every night. So it's still like a considerable chunk of time and we're ready to go and we'd raise money and we're like, this is amazing. We're going to be out before Christmas.
Yeah.
So, then I'm like, we're done. Now, one of my really close friends from Coffs Harbour, Jess Wilson, she also started an app a couple of years before us. We're the same age and she's been really successful. It's a fashion app called Stashed.
Yeah, I read the interview with you and Jess and Mitch Hills.
Yes. So now Jess, at this point, I'm in Sydney getting this quote with Pierre. And I'm like, Jess, can we come out to dinner? I'm like, I need you to read through this quote because, like, I don't know if we've asked it to be made out of like cut crystal, but this is alarmingly expensive. And so we get there, we go to dinner, we had a few drinks, and I'm like, read this quote. And she still to this day is like, I can remember the look on your face. She's like, you were pale as a ghost and you thought the world was over. You're like, you're done.
Yeah.
Your big dreams are done. And she's like, oh, babes, don't worry about it. She's like, how about look into offshore? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's an idea, isn't it? So this gets a bit more interesting. So oh my gosh, this is, what was it, October? No, that was earlier. That was July. Sorry, that was July.
Yep.
Yeah, because then August, we've been recommended these guys in Pakistan. We've spoken to them on Skype for night after night and showed them exactly what we want. And yes, we can do everything. It's going to be 2 weeks of design, 6 weeks of development. That's going to cost you 30 grand. And we're like, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable. Like,
how'd you find those guys through like Elance or something like that?
No, it was through Elance, but they came recommended as from one of somebody that Pierre knew. Oh, we've used them before. Well, yeah, we've used them before to design a poster, but we didn't even think to look into that. Like, they were great, they were on time, blah, blah, and that also offered all this stuff and that 5-star rating. We're like, amazing. So, yes, you've got the job. So how it works on, as we know on Upwork, the money goes up into escrow and then they release parts of it and then the money comes out again and you release the money to them. Milestones. So away they go. And this is when you learn that the front end of an app, which is what the user sees, is an entirely different thing to the back end of the app. And the back end of the app is really where the value of it is. And the front end's just the pretty bit that your user goes, yay, Tinder for pets. So what they're doing is they're building us a front end. And then we were 3 months over already. 3 months over time. Going, guys, what the hell's going on? Like, seriously. They're like, oh, look, it's just it's done Monday. It'll be done Monday. It'll be in the App Store. We're submitting it on Monday anyway. They had no idea what they're doing. So they've pretty much used a graphic designer and made a front end that links together linkable buttons.
Okay.
And then at this point, they're learning how to, they've bought a plug and play Tinder UI, which they didn't tell us about. And they're then trying to learn the coding to actually make it function. So come to, when was it? October. Yeah, come to October, end of October, and we're like, okay, we're being jammed here. And like, we've spent 20 grand. We're being jammed here. We need to assemble another team of developers. We're going to have to perform a military coup. And that's just what we're going to have to do. And we're going to have to cut our losses, but we're now months overdue and we're just going to do it. So Pierre meets this guy through a guy called Ankit, and Ankit lives in Sydney. Yeah. And Ankit goes and he's got this man is like heaven sent. He's just that one of a kind guy that you just need to meet. So Ankit goes and assembles and hand picks a team in India and Australia and builds a hybrid team.
Wow.
Yeah. This guy's amazing. Anyway, on November the something or other, we perform a military coup. Ankit's crack team come in and lock them out of everything. And the Pakistanis wake up to start their day of stuffing us around and they're locked out of everything. And they're like, what's going on? And we're like, we've locked you out of everything. You guys have not performed, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, can you leave us a good review on Elance? And I'm like, I'll fly to Pakistan and punch you in the mouth for asking for that. Like, I was so angry. Anyway, this is a really big learning curve about being taught patience. And so then Ankit's team, they get this final bit of code. Well, the second last, like, so that they were putting the code up into the cloud with the release, and Ankit's team, they got the second last version of the code, and they're like, okay, this code is absolute rubbish, but we can make it work enough to get it into the App Store. And then we never got the final version of the code. They're like, this is fine. This should be enough so we can put an MVP, like a lean build, an MVP into the App Store, and you can start to get content. And then in the meantime, while you get all the shelters on board, we will build a second one and then we'll upload that one and everything will be fine. And I'm going, right, that sounds amazing. So anyway, it gets really funny here. Also, anyway, basically between December and January, I'm going ham on the phone, like calling the shelters. They love it. They're like, this is awesome. They're uploading pets. We're getting like 1,000 pets and then we're getting 1,500 pets. And then we started to do a bit of marketing and people started to talk about it. And lo and behold, I wake up one morning and I check Zeppee and I can't log in. I'm like, that's really weird. I'll check somebody's another account details. Can't log in. Like, hey, and Kit, I can't log in. He goes, neither can I. This is weird. He says, give me a couple of hours. Like, it's still 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't think really that many people are going to be looking for pets right now. So I'm like, we're pretty safe here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, if one person reports that they can't log in, no worries. We can sort it out. So, anyway, hang on. I'll just have a sip, but my throat's a bit.
Yeah, website downtimes, it's always concerning when people email you like, I can't log in, I can't access it. You're just thinking about money and turning people away.
Yeah, and your stomach sinks.
Yeah.
And you're going, oh my gosh, because this is the things that people remember. So, and Kit calls me back in the afternoon, phone call, and he says, so the developers and I have gone through everything, and the server's working fine, because the servers, I would assume the server was down because we just can't log into the server. Fine. He says the server's operating perfectly. He says the app is operating perfectly. But he said they're not talking to each other. And I said, great, fix it. And he says, I'm pretty sure, because obviously when the Pakistani team were going months and months over, things got a bit heated.
Yeah.
You know, very heated all the time. It was tension a million all the time. And Kit said, look, believe it or not, he says, I think that they knew that you were going to perform this military coup.
Huh.
And he said they coded in on a certain time on a certain day. It would lock you out of the app and the server. And I'm
That's
like,
insane.
I'm not even mad. Like, that is so impressive. So, and Kit's like, and I'm like, all right, go through the code and find where it is and undo it. And he says, well, they never gave us the last version of the code with that in it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, all right. And he's just like, look, we're going to have to pull it off the App Store. This is January. Build another one from scratch, from 100% start to finish. And so we only actually launched on the 26th of March this year.
Yep.
And with a whole new app, with a great team, how it should have been done the first time. And we've had absolutely incredible traction from the start. So we've had lots of really good PR, lots of great media, lots of, there's now over 3,000 animals on the app. We've got lots of downloads, and it's been from there. It's been really great. We've just kind of been updating it and adding new features, and then now we're actually got something to work with. We're 6 months behind, but we've got something to work with. So
yeah, that's awesome. It's cool because it's got the easy Tinder for pets description. But it's also kind of like a humanitarian, like you jump on and adopt a pet and help some pets.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's got a really feel good, really feel good aspect to it. And also being able to all the rescues we work with, they've all got these massive social media voices. And that's proved to be incredible because as we get shelters on board, we ask them to share something on Facebook. And because of that, that's some of the best marketing ever, is getting the people of rescue sharing your content.
Yeah.
So from there, we've actually just monetized the app.
Okay.
We just released a range of pet trackers.
Yep.
And they go onto, your dog or cat's collar, and it works with the app. We've got a lost and found section. And if your pet goes missing, you can use the tag to get your pet back. And you can also send instant alerts to all users within 100 kilometers of you that your pet's gone missing. And, and that's basically, we wanted a way to be able to monetize the app where we don't have to charge the rescues because they have no money. They're all non-for-profit.
Yep.
We also wanted to be able to reach, it's good for retention because people are going to keep an app on their phone. Like downloads are smoke and mirrors. Download numbers don't mean anything.
Yeah.
Retentive users who keep opening the app mean everything.
Yeah.
And so we really wanted if somebody adopts a dog, they're not going to be looking for another adoptable dog the next day, the next week, the next month, unless they've got a problem. So we needed a way to be able to keep our users on there, and being able to move into the lost and found pet sector was a really great way to do it, because it meant that we could have people who are going to keep the app there just for peace of mind.
Yeah.
And it meant that we could also monetize it for and keep it free for the rescue. So it was kind of a triple win in that regard.
Yeah, it's smart because, I mean, I think like the most popular app of this year is Pokemon Go, and no one plays it.
Yep.
It's
Did you
finished.
see? Yeah, I was only reading an article about it the other day. They've gone from making 16 million a day down to now a measly 2 million in revenue a day. But that's just madness. 16 million. It was on Forbes the other day.
Yeah, they dropped the ball.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because I don't know where that came unstuck for them.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was the most trending topic ever, and then it just died. I don't know.
Yeah, being in the app space, is it like, because like now you know your way around it a bit more, are you constantly kind of like considering new app ideas or new things to do?
Look, no, really. We've had some other ones and we've kind of shelved them, but it just takes so much time, so much effort. It's all consuming, and it's so constant. And this is something we learn. Well, I learned especially is when we started, we weren't telling anyone what we were doing besides like close friends and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, if somebody's like sick, I'm going to steal their idea and do it. It's so much money and time involved to actually make it a reality that unless somebody has like a crack team of developers, everything waiting in like a bat cave, and they just steal ideas and build them, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Or somebody can attempt to, but there's just so much involved with it. So trying to have anything more than that one on the go at once would just be pretty crazy. You would literally need to staff it out and have a full team of people doing it, and then be able to go and work on other projects. But yeah,
it's funny what you're saying about having to outsource, because I know Mitch, he said he went to 3 different developer places in Australia, and the Australian places were outsourcing, but they weren't telling him.
So do you know that? That's so funny because
is that the same thing that happened to you?
Yep, same company.
Oh yeah, interesting. That's funny.
So funny because in that interview that you listened to with Jess and Mitch and I on that conference call, the 3 of us, Mitch starts telling his story, and I was saying to him, I said, "Mate, Mitch, I'm just going to stop you there." And he's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "This company, do they have an orange logo?" And he's just like, "Oh my God."
Oh,
he just yells into the phone. I'm like, "Dude, we went through the exact same thing." And it's like they must make their bread and butter off that $7,700, off that, the original come in with your app ID, because every man and his dog's got an app ID. And
are there many places to go in Australia if you want to get your app built?
Look, there is, but there's a lot of like freelancers and things like that. But there's also a few big companies, but a lot of them are incubators as well, so that you're going to end up giving up a whole heap of equity, like up to 85% equity in your idea if they see it good for them to develop it, and then you still need to raise money for marketing and things like that. So, I mean, it's great if you've got, I don't know, it's incubators are great if you've got absolutely no knowledge and you don't know anyone with knowledge. I still think they've got a lot of value, but in terms of in Australia as app developers, I don't think that there's not a huge range where there is like there is offshore, but you need to, I mean, for I guess for anybody who's listening to this and you've got an app idea and you want to, you're looking to outsource, the number one thing that I wish we had done, and I will absolutely recommend it to everyone, is spend a bit of money and go offshore by all means, but spend a bit of money and get an Australian developer and get them on work out a good hourly rate, and you only need to pay it when you need them. And all their job is doing is to audit the code. So go offshore, tell them what you want. The offshore people will build it. Then they're going to release the code to you. Before you release the money to them, get an Australian guy. You'll probably pay him $100 an hour just to go through and audit the code. And he'll say it's rubbish or it's good. If it's good, redo it, like release the money. And if it's rubbish, he'll be able to tell them where it needs to be cleaned up. And you'll save yourself in the long run an absolute fortune in development problems.
Yeah, I like that idea because, I mean, I guess it's the opposite of like your Pakistani guys just saying, yeah, it's coming, and you've kind of got no idea what's going on with it.
Exactly right. And if you can't speak code, which I can't, hire someone that does for when you need them. It's not like you got them on $100 an hour full time every week. It's probably going to be 2 hours a fortnight.
Yeah.
But, spending that bit of extra money and getting someone who's actually in Australia that you can call on their mobile phone. This isn't Australians a better thing at all. It's just you need to have someone who's here in Australia that you can physically talk to, who comes with a recommendation. And I just had some girls that reached out to me when they saw one of our articles, and they're doing an app, and they went through the same thing. And I said, girls, this is my mate Steve. Steve's a software developer. Like, he's actually a friend of mine. And I said, give him a call. He'll audit your code. Just do it. Please trust me. And lo and behold, he audited the first code and he said it's absolute garbage.
Yeah.
So we got to start again. And, that saved them an absolute fortune, as opposed to doing it by themselves like we did, getting 20 grand deep and going, you know what, we need to start again. So
trial by fire.
Exactly right. So yeah, it's been I
was going to say, it sounds like your journey's, it's been quite varied, like over your 4 different entrepreneurial things. What would you say has been like some personal strengths or attributes that you would put down to where you are today?
Oh, being able to sell.
Yeah.
All of it. Being able to sell is my 100%. If I could put it to one thing, is sales, having a strength in sales. Because I had to sell myself to Pierre to get him to want to do this with me. We had to sell ourselves to investors. I have to sell cars for clients. I have to sell coffee to people. People buy you.
Yeah.
And, like, you speak to most people that invest, and they invest in the person as much as the idea. Like, yeah, they want to know that your idea can get there, but they want to know that you can get it there.
Yeah.
And I absolutely think it's made a lot of progress, is the ability to sell, because in especially when you're somebody new. I'm Ben from nowhere until Zeppee becomes a household name. Being able to cold call and sell your product to people, even if they're not paying for it, even if it's a free service, you still have to get it over the line. So, yeah, I would absolutely put it down to that and nothing more.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is that all from personal experience, or have you been like reading any books on selling or marketing?
No, I've never read a book on selling and marketing. Yeah. I think it's half, I guess, the being able to talk, and the other half is having bought and sold so many cars for myself personally. I guess, like actually having personally had now sold 104 of my own cars, it definitely teaches you to, just be genuine. People who are buying a car, they want to feel like they're comfortable and they trust you. Cars are a great example of it. The girl who just bought my last car, she came along and she loved the car, and I didn't let her take it that night. And I said, look, you're looking at the car physically, but I'm like, go home and detach yourself from the emotion and think about it and think about the price that we've agreed on. And I said, if you still like it, then tomorrow you can call me back and we can do a deal. But I said, right now you're all buzzed up and I could put another $5,000, probably pay it. So just go. And that, people want to feel like you're genuine in everything and completely transparent. And that's something that you just learn from, I guess, selling something like cars, where most people don't know how they work and are so scared that they're going to explode. So
yeah, it's a really, I guess, a gross feeling when you feel like you're really being sold at, and you're like, calm down, man. I don't trust you. You're going too hard.
Yes. And like, this is why car dealers got such a bad name, is because the moment you walk into a car dealership, they're like, what can we do today to make you take this car home? I'm like, well, look, I just want to have a look. Like, it's just I don't know. I can see why they've gotten themselves such a bad reputation.
Yeah. So what's the plans for the future for Zeppee? Where to from here?
I would really, really want to see how far we can take it. We're just about to launch over in Canada and North America.
Oh, wow.
And then following that is South Africa. And we've done some partnerships with some of the really big rescue groups over there to be ambassadors, and, they'll do all the legwork. So we'll pretty much have officers on the ground over there. Which is amazing, because rescues all know rescues. They all know each other. Yeah. And that's been really exciting. So we'll focus on Australia. They'll focus on each country as we move into it. And, we'll just see how far we can take it, rinse and repeat what works, and then ditch whatever doesn't. So
Yeah. How many conversions have you had? Or conversions or pets relocated, I should say.
Look, we're actually right now, because we've been spending all our time and money on the product development.
Mm-hmm.
We're only now as in this week, we're launching a build which will have, we don't use kind of off the shelf stuff anymore. We build it. So like we've always got it. So we're building analytics that will track every single, who swipes on what pet, who likes which, blah, blah, blah. So in terms of we're seeing about 5 to 10 animals a day being rehomed.
Okay.
But the people also have got them on other platforms. So we can't take 100% credit for it. Because that's what we're doing now, is putting into place to see if it's 100% from Zeppee or if it's from another platform. So in saying that, I mean, even if it was, half and 5 were being rehomed today, I'm still really happy with that. But I think it would be dishonest to say that it's all coming from us.
No, that's awesome. I mean, like, does it make you feel good? Like when you said 5, I was like, that's 5 animals that used to be at a shelter that are now with a family.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's such a feel good industry to be in. Like, it is a really feel good industry. And to be able to, I don't know, just to be able to see people downloading it, see people talking about it, see people adopting pets, like, it's really cool. It's a great industry.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's, like, you're in Coffs Harbour now, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
How is it being an entrepreneur there? Because I know it's like, it's not the most, well, it's not like a large city. It's not the most bustling place for an entrepreneur to be.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Like, I know most of the town here. I like to take my computer and work from one of the local cafes. But I absolutely love it because of all of the, and I mean this in the best way, but because of all of the startups that come out of cities and tech companies that come out of cities, there's all this amazing, startup culture. And I feel like people can get a bit lost in that startup culture as opposed to what they're actually supposed to be working on.
Yeah.
Like the pitch nights and event nights and the co-working spaces and this and that. And I feel like
it's a bit of a bubble, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's more focus sometimes put on that than what the business they're actually trying to build is. And so for me, I mean, I've got no distractions up here. My fiance lives in Brisbane. I just am in Coffs. I can work as much as I want. And, if I need to go and do anything, I can just jump in my car and drive. I'm right in between Sydney and Brisbane. So I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. I agree. It sounds like Coffs keeps you a bit more real. Whereas all these these entrepreneurial places, all they're focused on is raising capital and growth. And even if they fail, they just do it again.
Yeah, exactly. And just talking about the I guess the whole startup culture. I mean, for me, like that's still amazing and everything they do is still incredible, but it's also that I just think that there's a bit too much focus, and here I can actually focus on what we're trying to do. And, you can still feel like in a small town like Coffs, you can still feel great about what you're doing. You're like, all right, we are on track. Like, I don't need to be disappointed because I'm not Uber who's working out of a co-working space in Sydney. You know what I mean? So it's nice to just be able to be here and be a bit of a nobody and just build it that way. So, yeah.
So who's your team at Zeppee? Do you have any employees, or is it kind of
so there's 8 of us. So there's myself. Yeah, there's myself and Pierre. And then we have 2 in-house developers. One's Ian Kit and another guy. And then we have 4 offshore.
Wow, that's sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's now it's gone quite large, which is fantastic because any change we want to make can be done the same day, and any bug that gets reported we can squash there and then.
So you haven't read any marketing or sales books, but do you have any good book recommendations, or something that you would think other people would benefit from?
Look, I am a huge, like, one of my favorite, I don't really read, I'll be honest, I don't read business books at all.
Yep.
I have tried before, but I found them a bit cut and copy, as in apply these rules to any business ever and you're going to be fine. But I found that the reality of the businesses was, it doesn't matter. Those last 4 businesses I told you are so vastly different in every single way that you couldn't apply a blanket rule to them. And that's what I found. I'm like, they're all a bit generic. Like, raise capital, try harder, stay positive, chip away at it every single day, and one day you'll be a gazillionaire. And I'm like, you know what? Like, my favorite business book I've ever read is Like a Virgin by Richard Branson, which is just his autobiography.
Yeah.
And because he's fully just talks so openly about how much he sucks at some things and how good he was and at other stuff and his strengths and weaknesses. And it's not even like a do this to get better at business. It's a this is my story. And I took from that, I'm like, you can do anything. Just you're going to have to get you there your own way.
Yeah, yeah. He keeps it real. That's a good book. And like he did it in a time nothing like now where it's so encouraged and so well supported. He did it when you weren't really meant to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And he's like the coolest guy ever. And I know that's probably the most generic, the most generic answer is a Richard Branson book, but that one
he is.
Yeah, he's a genius. And the way that he did it, like he's like, yeah, I'm dyslexic. Yeah, I don't know what the difference between gross and net profit is, but he's like, you don't need to, obviously, because I'm now worth $45 billion. And that's something for me, like I just took from that. I'm like, yeah, you can literally do anything, but you just need to go about it your own way. And I feel like for me personally, if I read too deep into startup blogs and startup this, firstly, you get disheartened because I feel like you spend your life comparing yourself to other startups.
Yeah.
And secondly, you get so lost in this insane startup bubble that you just don't even know how you ended up there in the first place.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like that's the saying they say, well, money is the root of all evil and comparison is the root of all misery.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. Any final tips for someone, I don't know, maybe someone looking to do not just an app, but looking to do their own thing business-wise?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and this is a bit of a personal one, but I think a lot of people will apply for it, but I'll be able to apply it to their lives. But I think that the key to being able to be in a successful kind of business is to be able to find the perfect balance between laziness, as in being able to find an easier way to do something, and innovation to be able to actually make that idea a reality. And, like every single successful business is based around somebody trying to find an easier solution. And you normally try and find an easier solution when you're being lazy. Yeah. And like everything that you look at, like Uber, make it easier for ride sharing. You look at Airbnb, make it easier, put up in people's houses. There's houses everywhere. Like, look at us. We're trying to make it easier for people to meet adoptable pets. We're trying to make it easier to find a lost pet. And just be patient. Patience always pays. Yeah. Don't always take the first thing that somebody throws at you and tells you like we did. Just be patient. And of course you're going to be enthusiastic, but just take a deep breath, and because all of a sudden you'll be 6 months down the track and everything will be amazing. And you're going, what the hell was I even worried for back then? I should have been patient and been able to make an informed decision.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thanks so much.
No, thank you so much for having me.
All right, guys, that's it for this episode. If you enjoy the Work to Live podcast, make sure to check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Head to iTunes if you use iTunes. Give us a little review and a little rating. That'll help a lot. And we'll have another good episode coming up very soon. Thank you.